So in the last election, we saw a percentage move of labor people moving to vote for Trump and the Republican agenda. What do you make of that trend, and why would you think that would happen?
I think people are really frustrated. There's a lot of economic unhappiness out there. There are people who are not doing as well. And I think there's a concentration in the rural communities of people who aren't doing well economically. And they're angry and frustrated, and they don't really know what's the cause of the fact that they're not doing so well. We have increasing technology. We have global competition. Things are changing, right? We don't have the same jobs now that we used to have, and that disruption is very upsetting to people. And I think there's just a mass frustration that you have Republicans and Democrats who they feel like are playing the same game all the time and pointing the finger at each other and blaming one another for no progress. Yeah. So I think what voters wanted is, let's do something totally different. And I think that's why they voted for Donald Trump.
I see. Speaking of national politics, how does that make its way down to what you see happening at the legislative level? And you're seeing it at a fairly high level, and you're now a leader in your party. Do you run the caucus?
I do.
Yeah, that's right. So that's part of your job. What are you seeing at this level? How is national politics playing out here locally? I mean, in terms of bills or whatever you're having to fight, or yeah.
In the committees, it's interesting. I understand that the Minnesota Republicans don't like any comparisons at all to the national Republicans, but the things that they have in common is they don't believe in science, they don't believe in climate change. They're not basing their budget on actual real-life facts and data. It's kind of more these gut beliefs that they have. I think that there's some agency somewhere along the way that's made something difficult for a business, so we should eliminate the agency. So in some ways, there's some similarities. I think it's really hard to understand what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. None of us could have predicted that Donald Trump would become the president, and the appointments
Except
that
for Donald Trump.
Right. Well, I don't.
Barely.
I think that he was like
surprised?
Jesse Ventura on election night in 1998. I think Minnesotans watched the look on Jesse Ventura's face, and we knew he was as surprised as anybody else. I think that in the beginning for Donald Trump, it was a publicity stunt, and he was just as surprised as the rest of us that it all panned out the way it did. So we have just really radical changes happening in Washington that could cause deep, deep cuts to services that are provided in Minnesota.
Yeah. Can we just drill down a little bit on the personal level? Let's spend
Sure.
a little time with each of our interviewees about their lives and who they are around this office. I mean, it's been here a long time. This is one of the bigger offices in the state office building. When you got here, were you nervous? I'd be nervous. How'd you feel because it's like heavy weighs the head that wears the crown, right?
Sure. I felt a little awkward at first being in this office because this was Paul Thiessen's office. And so, he moved out and I moved in, but he decided not to run for leader of the caucus. He had been our minority leader in 11 and 12, and then a really fabulous speaker in 2013 and 2014. And then again served as our minority leader in 15 and 16. And he said, it's time for me to do something different. Mm-hmm. So there was no coup, but it still felt awkward to be moving into what I felt like was Paul Thiessen's office. Mm-hmm. And he's a really smart guy, and he's very passionate about the ability that government has to make people's lives better. So definitely big shoes to fill. And also Paul's really beloved in our caucus, so I wanted to, step into the leadership role and be as well liked as Paul was in our caucus. So yes, the office itself is a little intimidating, but we have so much work to do. I ran for
like a full-time person out there that screens people that come up to the office.
Yes, I do. Her name is Mary, and
Mary,
she, her job is to help me stay focused on the things where I can make the most difference.
She seems good.
And being in the minority, having people come and talk to me about individual bills that they would like us to get passed, we don't really have a lot of power. With 57 votes, we don't have enough power to block bills as they're moving through. So we really have to be future focused and also communicating with the electorate. We're not just also here to block things that Republicans are doing. So what I need to figure out is where are those places that we can work together with Republicans and collaborate, and where are those areas where we have to really differentiate for Minnesotans that what we think the Republicans are doing is not helpful for the state, and how we would propose to do something different. That, I suppose, is the thing that I bring that's different and new to this role, I think, is I really think it's important that we explain to the public what Democrats would do if we were in charge, and not just how what Republicans are doing is maybe wrong in some cases.
Yeah. When do you get those opportunities, aside from your press meetings and the House floor and things like that? Do you have those personal conversations with your colleagues on the other side of the aisle? What
With the
happens there?
Republicans to figure out where we can work together?
Do you guys ever have like a joint caucus meetup where you can just get smashed and, you know,
We
have some
we
honest
actually we
dialogue?
have the freshman party, so
Yeah.
the freshmen pay for food,
Okay.
and everybody buys their own drinks if they have drinks. And we had a party over at the Lexington where we could just mix casually with each other. But I have appointed a member.
Did all the Democrats sit together and the Republicans?
No,
were
it was
all-
very mixed. It was
They made
exactly
them-
what you would
okay.
want it to be. We
Good.
were trying to get to know each other as human beings.
Yeah.
But really, here at the legislature, we're not here to make friends and socialize, although that's important for getting things done. But the way we communicate with each other is through bills and in committees. And so within committees, there are definitely, that's how you find out where the opportunities are to work together,
Sure.
by looking at the quality of the bill. And does it help people? Or does it hurt people, or does it not make any difference? And that's where we figure out where to work together.
Yeah. Okay, a couple questions, we'll wrap up.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about one Republican legislator up here, current one, because Alice Houseman did this to me the other day, and she mentioned like 4 former people, that you like working with, that you enjoy, that you consider a good colleague, or, you know, somebody you can talk to.
I think Representative Joe Hoppe is great to work with, because he really separates the work that we do from personalities. So he thinks if somebody votes against his bill, that doesn't mean they're a bad person. I really enjoy working with Representative Greg Davids. I think he's got a great sense of humor, and humor is something we could use a lot more of down here.
Oh, you guys must really miss Rukavina. He was, yeah.
He was funny.
He could
There
crack
were
the ice.
some characters who have retired, and we
Yes.
definitely miss them.
Yeah. I remember one time asking Kurt Zellers, when he took the leadership role, how he imagined it would be as compared to how it really was. And I think there was some disconnect to, like, oh, is this really what it's all about? This is kind of tougher than I thought it was. Not that Speaker Zellers wasn't prepared for that, but it was a little bit different when you finally get the gavel in your hand, or you're in that role and you're standing up there. And
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
I think the most important thing of being in this role is recognizing that I'm the leader of a caucus of 57 leaders.
Yeah.
And they all bring talents and strengths to this team. And my job is not to know all the answers. My job is to manage giving people the opportunities to lead in the areas where they should be leading the caucus, and that we work together as a team.
Okay, finally, a couple questions and we're done, promise. Well, tell me secrets of the Capitol. We're going to talk just about 2 things. One, what the heck is a mute button, and why would anybody use that? Tell me about the mute button and when that got installed, and how it's being used to quiet our voices, the people's.
It's really outrageous. You know, it is really something. For people who don't know, the Speaker of the House, the current Speaker, Republican Kurt Dowd, had a mute button installed without telling anybody in the minority in 2015. And in the middle of our leader explaining why we didn't like a certain bill and what was wrong with it, for Minnesotans, on behalf of the Minnesotans that we represent, the Speaker of the House pressed the mute button, and all of a sudden we couldn't hear Paul Thiessen's voice. We thought there had been a power outage or something was really wrong. And the thing that makes it so wrong is it's not just silencing our voices, it's silencing the 39,500 people that each Democrat here represents. So it was an outrage, an absolute outrage.
Do you think we've gone down a slippery slope with that? Do you think the mute button will stick around, or is the next time a Democrat in that spot, are they going to rip it out and get rid of it? What's your thoughts about that?
If we flip the House in 2018, I will have it uninstalled and disabled so that a future speaker would have to get an express appropriation to spend the money to put it back in, because I think it is completely undemocratic. And also, it's kind of a sign of weakness, right? I mean, we had, in my time of serving here, We've had Speaker Steve Swigum. We've had Speaker Margaret Anderson Kelleher, Speaker Kurt Zellers, Speaker Paul Thiessen, none of whom felt they needed some artifice of technology to run the House floor. And I have run the House floor with the gavel as the Speaker Pro Tem for Margaret Anderson Kelleher and for Paul Thiessen. And I think it's really kind of an admission of weakness that the Speaker feels he has to have a button to push to silence people rather than managing the House according to the rules that we've all lived by for at least the last 12 years.
Yeah. Thanks for touching on that. Finally, you know, they remodeled, they put that nice Senate office building over there, and there was some sweet real estate over in the Capitol. You know, like I remember some of the Senate offices. What's up in there? What's going on in there? Have you moved in? Is that your exhibit?
No. So the beautiful thing that happened with the Capitol restoration is there's so many more spaces for the public. So there are rooms that members of the public can reserve. It used to be if a teacher brought a class down here and they had 60 12th graders and they wanted to explain to the 12th graders what they were going to see before they went in to see it, there was nowhere to gather. So you had these school children gathering in the really echoey chambers of the Capitol where they could barely hear their teacher and they couldn't really meet. Now all that space that senators used to occupy is available for the public. So as much as people criticize the building of the Senate office building, the senators who decided to do that and office there now will be there on a temporary basis. But that building is there for the public for the next 100 years, just like the Capitol. You know, when it was built in 1905, I'm sure they had a bunch of criticism of this very beautiful building that they were spending state taxpayer dollars on. But look, that Capitol that was built in 1905 is still here serving people today. And the remodel has made it so much more accessible to members of the public. It's especially if you're a person who has a physical disability of any kind, the Capitol is so much better of a place to be in now after the remodel than before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in 1905 it was a symbol of pride and for the community. I doubt there was well, there might have been, but I don't historically remember too much.
There was a real battle to fund it, to build it. Yes, definitely. There
were
were the naysayers.
There was some fires and whatnot.
There's always people who want to come to government and say the things that you can't do. And those are the people I get tired of serving with, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, who always want to explain why you can't do something. I think what the government can do is in some limited places where people can't, on their own, take care of it, we can help people do amazing things. Whether it's get a college education or have a fabulous early childhood through 12th grade education, there are things that we are better together. And I think in government, we really have to think about ways that we can elevate human beings.
Well, this has been wide-ranging and also fun to talk to you again. And I miss seeing you up here on a regular basis.
Well, thanks for coming on up tonight to have the chat.
Good to see you. Well, thanks, Leader Hortman, and I'll look forward to seeing what you do up here over the next, May 19th, is that your?
May 22nd, I think.
May 22nd this year? Okay, here's your, they have to do something. So I was asked on the radio the other day if it could be like the bonding last year, and I think you're constitutionally mandated by law to pass a budget by May 22nd. That's it, right? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much. Good night from the Capitol. We'll see you next week.